Shalom, friends. Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson here from the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, American Jewish University. As we approach Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, and the biblical holiday that has attracted more attention than any other day, I want us to think about one of the rituals of the day as a key to unlocking the inner struggle, the inner dynamic of what does it mean to be human. On this day, which is a day devoted to temple rituals. So back in the day when the Holy Temple stood in Jerusalem, the high priest would immerse and would wear special garments for the day and would perform unique sacrifices that would atone for the sins of the high priest, for the family of the high priest, for the priesthood as a whole, and for the entire people, and then finally for the whole world. A day on which we would purge the sanctuary of the accumulated crud, if you will, of the sins that have been gathered there the whole year would be scrubbed off. And so this day would be one of cleansing, in which the Jewish people would be made clean. The temple altar would be made clean. But what does that mean? Well, there's another interesting ritual that's related to the temple and then also takes place outside. On the day of Yom Kippur, 2 goats would be selected, and they would draw lots to see which one would be designated the goat of Azazel, and one would be devoted to God. The goat for Azazel would have a red ribbon placed on it, and then it would be sent out into the wilderness and shoved off a cliff to die. The second goat would be brought into the Holy Temple and would be sacrificed as an offering of the Jewish people to God. I'd like to suggest that what's intriguing about that is that it's not a choice of one or the other. That there's a sacrifice made inside the temple, but then there's also one that is discarded in the wilderness. And that both of those are mandated by the Torah. Never else do you see a sacrifice that's mandated outside of the temple. This is it. So why would it be on the most temple-oriented day of the year, when we cleanse the Holy of Holies, on that day and that day alone, we're also told to sacrifice outside? Because, my friends, we're not saints, and we're also not sinners. Sin is not a category of being. It's when you make the wrong choice. It's when you commit an error, sometimes deliberately, but you do something wrong, something harmful, something damaging, something that distances you from your fellow human beings or from your Creator. And there has to be a way to acknowledge that that's in us too. We never get rid of that. We learn to control ourselves. We learn to rise above some of our unworthy impulses. We learn to orient ourselves to do the right thing. And so we need to make both offerings. We need to acknowledge there's a piece of Azazel in here, that wild, pagan, whatever, that comes out from time to time. And our job is, through the mitzvot and through our own character building, to be able to learn how to choose the good, how to choose life, as Deuteronomy tells us. And this offering to God is to tell us that's also in there. We also have impulses of compassion and caring and decency and justice. And that's as much part of being human as anything else. We are little lower than the angels. We are also made of earth. And that beautiful, unstable fusion is who we are. So as we enter into this fast day of holiness and solemnity, this day of beautiful music, this day of introspection and rededication, let's own the Azazel within and the yearnings for the divine. Let's acknowledge both are human, and our job is not to obliterate the one or to exhibit smug pride over the other. Our job is to choose the good, to choose life, to lean in to holiness and decency and compassion and justice. Have a meaningful fast, everybody. Thanks for joining me.